Hello, beautiful seekers, and welcome to Moon Magic and the Scorpio full moon. I'm really excited for this energy and for what this moon is bringing up. And I will admit, it brings up some really deep, beautiful, profound questions. But this is also a very harmonious moon. It's a moon that's very deeply water influenced and has a lot to do with healing and reconnecting and kind of the softer element of the healing process in coming back home to ourselves and coming back to a place of grace and mercy and self forgiveness. So, this is a huge moon of transformation. Now, Scorpio energy is, of course, tied to transformation, shedding of a skin, and every year the Scorpio full moon is also known as the flower moon. And when you think of a flower, you think of the becoming, the flowering. We are in Taurus season after all. But a flower, in order to open, also loses one form in order to become another. And I think that is really one of the important tenets of this scorpionic energy that we have going on here. I have such a huge love of the Taurus Scorpio axis because we have that beautiful dance between death and life, rebirth, and all of that, and how deeply tied together these things are. They're one and the same. They are not opposites, but in fact, a whole that always comes together. Now, that's one of the huge themes that I'm noticing with this moon. Unitive understanding, right? Rather than opposites, me versus you, us versus them, right versus wrong. This moon is about the unitive power of healing. So, like I said, it's a very harmonious moon, but it is going to ask us some deep questions. And it's going to have us really check in with ourselves and come home to ourselves in a really authentic way. And I will get to the things that I think you'll want to spend a little bit of time on with this moon. I know I will be doing this work 100%. So let's just talk through some of the aspects and conversations and some of the energies you may be feeling during this full moon. So it's on May 7th. It's going to be happening in the early morning hours in the US, so 6:45 a.m. on the East Coast. And it's going to be hitting at 17 degrees of Scorpio. So that makes the sun at 17 degrees of Taurus, these two facing off against each other, finding harmony and balance, and closing out this moon cycle. Now, every once in a while, I will feel a moon is a great place to check on where you were a year ago at the Scorpio full moon and to think about how you have transformed over this last year. This is one of those moons that I think is a great place to pause and think through who you've been, how much you have changed, and give yourself some credit for everything you have done, everything you have transmuted, everything you have shifted. Sometimes we forget that we have gone through big choices, that we have taken steps because they seem so obvious to us now that they have been taken, that we forget that before they were taken, there was questioning, there was doubt, there was uncertainty, and there was the unknowing. And that's another theme that comes up with this moon because this moon perfectly trines Neptune in Pisces. Well, not perfectly, but very close. So the moon in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces are having this beautiful water trine conversation. And here's the thing with this. This is beautiful energy. It's very harmonious. Like I said, extremely healing. The beautiful side of both Neptune and Moon in Scorpio here is that they want you to dream, open up, your psychic lens, be open to possibility, be open to transformation, and be open to another version of events happening. The shadow side of this, right? We always want to look at that. Is a desire or a tendency to get into paranoid thinking, to get into transformation based on fear or worry or fears about control. This moon is happening in the context of a couple of big shifts as well. Pluto just started its retrograde, and the north node of the moon has moved into Gemini at this point, just very shortly before. And both of these are asking us to look at the way we narrate our stories at a deep level. And like I said, the shadow side of Moon in Scorpio and the shadow side of Neptune in Pisces is that we can get sucked into fantasies or versions of the world that are based on paranoia and fear. And whenever we are paranoid or fearful, we are not in a unitive mindset. We are in a storyline that creates villains and underdogs. And I'm not going to say that there aren't people doing things that are destructive and that there aren't people who are also disadvantaged. And we do have a moral obligation to show up for the communities that need our help and to witness those who need help, and to not just say it's not happening to me, so I don't need to feel that or be conscious of it or distract myself with other theories about why the world is coming to what it's coming to without acknowledging communities that need our help 100%. But these placements will sometimes pull us into that kind of villain underdog thinking, right? That us versus them thinking. And we all have moments of this in our life. I'm not exempt from this thinking in my own life at times, right? So that's one thing to kind of keep in mind with this moon. It's very powerful energy. It can take you on kind of a fantastical ride. Be conscious of what kind of fantastical ride you want to go on. And I would really highly recommend choosing the one full of love and hope and belief and connectiveness. To witness another's pain or to witness pain in ourselves does not mean to choose the dark path. It does not mean that we are succumbing to some kind of self-destruction. To honestly witness ourselves or another in their moment of need or pain is actually a pathway to greater grace and to the gifts of this life. So this moon is teaching us that deep principle of presence of knowing. Now, this moon is also opposing Mercury. Mercury is very close to the sun. It's at 20 degrees of Taurus. Like I said, this conversation, the conversational aspect of Mercury is going to be challenging us here. How do we want to frame our story? How do we want to communicate our story? How do we want to communicate ourselves? And where are we feeling inspired to communicate, and how are we feeling inspired to communicate? Is it from a place of paranoia or a desire for control, or is it from a place of deep love and forgiveness and release and openness? And, I think the other side about this moon is it's very tempting sometimes to think about Scorpio energy as serious and to get very serious and to go into this moon thinking, okay, I have to get my salt bath ready, get ready to feel really bad or very heavy. Actually, it's really interesting. I think when we get into that place of unitive love and compassion and lightness, things don't feel as scary and heavy. Even witnessing pain or distortion can be a fun place. I think maybe my favorite teacher doing this work is Byron Katie. I know a lot of you are connected with her work as well. She is maybe the perfect person to connect with or resource to connect with. All of her resources are free on her website, so go check her out if you're looking for guidance on this self-inquiry that she does. That is so beautiful. Now, I do have a question for you to take with you during this full moon, and something to really ponder just all the way up leading to this full moon and even a few days after. And this is the question: how would my life look if I walked through the world and reached out to others as though I have completely forgiven myself and found ultimate compassion for who I am? So often how we move through the world or how we don't move through the world how we hold ourselves back or shut down or pass judgment on others is a direct reflection of how we are feeling on our self-compassion journey. We often shut ourselves down or limit ourselves in how beautifully we can act in the world and how kindly we can act in the world because we feel that we can't forgive ourselves or that we can't show compassion to ourselves. We always use ourselves as the exception to the rule, and in doing that, that whole outflowing of love is interrupted. And I think this is a really great place to imagine what the world can look like for you. When you think about what would it look like if I walked through the world as though I had completely forgiven myself and I'd found ultimate compassion for who I am. You'll find ultimate compassion for others, and honestly, you'll be able to tap into a much more grounded, wise approach to the world and the way we need to problem solve together in that unitive space that is not divisive. And you'll be able to witness others and witness those who are in pain or those communities who do need help without feeling like you are less than for witnessing that and maybe not personally experiencing it as your own. But you can be in compassion for those communities when you have compassion for yourself. So this moon does take us to some very deep places about our role within our communities, our role within humanity, our role within this world. I admit, there is a deep meaning here in this moon. And like I said, it heralds in this new North Node in Gemini, which is going to have us really look at how we narrate our lives and where we really undercut our giving warm hearts. Now let's pull one card to close out this conversation. This moon is happening just a few days too before we have the Venus retrograde, and y'all know we are going to be doing some amazing work for the 6 weeks of this Venus retrograde over on Patreon. I've been doing my preparation for this. We're doing a little check-in exercise, discussion, deep dive every single week. And we're going to be going through the different facets of Venus and Venus retrograde. And we're also just going to be feeling through what's coming up intuitively. But it's a really great way to get some extra support if you're a little intimidated by Venus retrograde or you don't really know how to take that in. I would highly recommend coming and joining us on Patreon. Ace of Cups popped out as our final single card for this reading. Yes. I mean, this is everything I was just saying in that question. How would my life look if I walked through the world and reached out as though I had completely forgiven myself and found ultimate compassion for who I am? This is Ace of Cups logic, right? Those of us who find grace and forgiveness for ourselves daily, and it is really a continual practice. You don't just have a moment of, aha, I'm forgiven. I'm just who I am and I'm free. I mean, I guess there are some people who have done that, but most of us, myself included, need to check on this practice regularly. But each time we do that, we show up more full of warmth and actions in the world that help ourselves and help others and are kind and are patient and are aware and are well-informed. This really is the key to so much. We ask, well, what should I do next? This takes the place of worry, guilt, and fear, this process right here. And the Ace of Cups is about a renewal, a new beginning when it comes to how we connect, how we love. This moon can very much tie into your deep personal relationships. It can tie into a deepening and an empowering of those deep bonded connections. This is a very harmonious, loving moon. It does ask us to shed a skin. It does ask us to release a weight or a heaviness. Sometimes I think our desire to cast ourselves in a role and cast others in a role it feels like it's this proactive thing that we're doing because we're staying conscious of the world and we're staying on target, but really it's this heavy cloak we have been wearing for months. And this flower moon, this Scorpio full moon, is asking us to release that cloak and to feel the lightness of our shoulders and to feel the openness from which we can start to move through the world, right? Guilt and worry and anxiety often like to pretend that they are very productive and proactive and they're on the case, but they're placeholders. They are shams when it comes to what we're really doing. So this moon is all about forgiveness. It's all about healing, and it's all about the harmony that comes with shedding that layer, the harmony of what it means for a flower to be in this position and to this position. You know, Scorpio energy has us sit at the dinner table of our own minds and sit with those aspects of ourselves that maybe we feel is taboo or we're not allowed to forgive or find compassion for, and it gives us that opportunity. Scorpio energy, when we can sit with it, also allows us to become that flower and not to just stay in the hidden or the underground. And while we always think of Scorpio energy as kind of the deep, dark, heavy underground, it's actually the gateway through which we find that deeper meaning and love and that deeper connective tissue of our existence. So this moon is really iconic in the fact that it does activate the Taurus Scorpio axis, and it does invite us into believing in a world where we can act from this Ace of Cups place. So enjoy it, my friends. Enjoy this transition time. May is a very powerful month of shift and change and seeing with new eyes, and I feel like this moon is just helping us do that by kind of washing over us like a salt bath and giving us some new guidance from that place of ultimate love and unity. So I'm sending you all so much love. I'll leave my Patreon link below, and I will be opening up that June calendar very, very soon. So those of you looking to work one-on-one with me, check out my booking link below. I will be having some sessions in June, and I would love to work one-on-one with you and create that space and have fun. You can also find me on Instagram. And of course, I'm wearing PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry. We've got the crown, we've got the brass collection going on here. So if you have not checked out her Etsy shop, she does amazing work, and she's having a little sale right before her birthday in May. So you can go check out her Etsy shop as well. I'm sending you all so much love, and I will see you for the next Moon Magic.